My story is very familiar to many who have been involved in our media ministry. It is the story of the vast majority of American converts to the Orthodox Christian faith. Since 1987, when the AOC came into the Antiochian Archdiocese, thousands of American evangelicals are finding the Orthodox Church. It's not enough. It is one of the fastest growing elements of our Orthodox Church. I was blessed to enter the Orthodox Church through St. Mary of Egypt, OCA Parish in Atlanta. And Father Peter Smith, some of you may know, the green-wearing cassock priest. Father Peter Smith is my godfather. And I love him very much, and those days were very, very special to me. It's the reason why I could sing along with Father Chad when he was doing the song this morning. I enjoyed that very, very much. But as I began to convert to the Orthodox faith, I had no intentions of going back into the ministry. The men that we entered the Orthodox Church in November of 2001 with 20 families from the church I was pastoring. And we began the process of integrating our lives in an Orthodox Christian rhythm. I had no intentions of going back into the ministry, but I needed a job because I was pastoring and I was doing evangelical Protestant media, radio and television in the evangelical Protestant world. If I mention some of the guys that I worked with, some of you may even know who they are, but the reality was that was my background. So I went to work for Orthodox Christian Network in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and that proved to be the changing point in my life. I was traveling around the country talking about using media in the Orthodox Church. Because, brothers and sisters, whether you realize it or not, whether you accept it or not, whether you like it or not, the reality is the average American consumes media. That's what they do. You consume media as well. The Orthodox Church is the first multimedia church in the history of the universe. We use all five senses in our worship. We are a multimedia church. That's who we are. You're already producing media every week when your priest stands and gives a homily. You're doing public communication. And my goal was to see that that is done well and that the average American can have an on-ramp into this beautiful and timeless faith of the Orthodox Christian faith. I was raised in the Pentecostal church, so that means I know how to preach, at least to the ear of the average American. That's what they're used to. And so how do we do this? I thought, well, the key is, we got to do a national ministry. That's what we need to do, a national media ministry. No. My talk today is called Local Parish, Local Ministry. I love this quote, outstanding. Christianity is either fire or it is nothing. When I converted to the Orthodox Christian faith, my dad was brokenhearted. He said, "Son, you were going to be big." I said, "Well, Dad, I've put on a few pounds." He said, "No, that's not what I'm talking about, boy. You were going to be Joel, like Joel Osteen." I said, "Yes, Dad, but God loved me too much to put that on me." So he rescued me from that. I said, "Dad, here's the reason why I became Orthodox. I needed a fireplace for my fire. I needed a fireplace for my fire. I had fire, good Pentecostal boy, preach hell hot and heaven sweet. Everybody that seemed to really enjoy my talks. Oh, isn't that great? That's wonderful." But as a Pentecostal, because of the unmoored situation of our theology, we kept burning our huts down. We had no fireplace for our fire. We had no fathers. We had nothing to keep our fire from degenerating into wildfire, into being destructive rather than life-giving. You need a fireplace for your fire. And so, the purpose of the discovery of the Orthodox Christian faith in my life was to provide a fireplace for my fire so that it is healthy and good. Because, brothers and sisters, please understand, if you think orthodoxy is safe, you've never practiced it. Orthodox Christianity, it's like C.S. Lewis when he said he is not a tame lion. If you think you don't have to be actively attentive to how you present and how you lead and how you live out this faith every day of your life, trust me, you are going to find your Orthodox experience to be dull and boring. And that's not what I was looking for. The first thing we did when I moved to Cumming, Georgia. Cumming, Georgia is a suburb of Atlanta, about 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta. It was a Greek Orthodox parish that had started a few years before I came there. And there were about 35, 40 people in the congregation. I was their second full-time priest. Their first full-time priest, they ran out on a rail. Greek Orthodox parishes can be that way. But the reality was I was their second full-time priest. And we needed to grow. We had 16 acres of land. I said, folks, if you don't want to grow, there's no reason for you to do this. But we needed to diagnose the health of the local parish, because my contention to you this morning is this. Where the action is, this is wonderful that we have groups like this. This is wonderful. I've done these things, and I travel all over the country speaking in different conferences and in different events for Faith and Courage Ministries. These are good things to do, but if we don't find a way to practically implement ideas on the ground level in a local parish, the health of the local parish is the absolute key to the health of the entire church. If the cells are sick, the body will not be well. So doing good leadership in our local parish and transforming our local parishes into leadership centers for our community is absolutely necessary if we're going to take our calling as Orthodox Christians seriously. We sing it every week in our divine liturgy. We have seen the light, the true light. We have received the heavenly Spirit. We have found the true faith. I never forget, I was in a Greek Orthodox church in the Northeast. I won't say who it is, just in case you know the priest. The Orthodox world is very small, by the way, guys. I found that out, especially now that you're recording this. I have to be extremely careful with what I say. But I was there, and I told the folks, I said, you know, you sing this every week. I know you do it in Greek, which means nobody understands it, but you sing it every week. Do you believe it? Maybe you're just kidding me. You could be just pulling my leg. Maybe you don't believe you found the true faith. So what will you say if this is the true faith? If it is. By the way, this deals with Father Chad's discussion about philanthropy. If we found the true faith, then you are demons. You are not Christians if you withhold food from hungry people. Period, full stop, end of discussion. If your neighbor does not know they can be part of your parish, you are a demon. You are not a Christian, because you are withholding food from spiritually hungry people. So, Father Chad, the way I got rid of the whole philanthropy thing in our parish, they stopped asking, Father Barnabas, what does the church need? My answer was always $150 million. Give me $150 million. Or if you don't have that, give me everything that you have in your bank account. If we're going to give to need, okay. But that's not the Orthodox way. We don't give to need. We give from gratitude. If you change the mindset of your community to giving from gratitude and not merely to need, because if you give merely to need, my angels, you will always be a slave to poverty. What do you need? I need I need every person within a 20-minute radius of my parish to be Orthodox. That's what I need. Help me do that. Give from gratitude, folks, and the only problem we'll have in the Orthodox Church is, Charles, how are we going to spend this money? How are we going to spend this money? We've got to figure out ways to spend this money. That'll be our problem. And that should be the normal Orthodox Christian problem when it comes to finances, because finances are icons. They simply represent, and I always tell my people every year, it's at on Stewardship Sunday, tell me how much you love God and the faith by filling out this card and making giving a part of your worship. So as we began to diagnose the health of our community, we asked this question of our parish: why don't the people who live next door come to church here? I had another parish in the Northeast who had asked me to come to talk about some I need to make sure I watch my time. They asked me to come and do some revitalization, classic Greek American parish. They moved here into an impoverished area of the Northeast where all the Greek families could gather. It was a classic story of immigrant communities coming in. They all gathered together. They built a church in the midst of their church, their community. And they all walk to church together. They drive a little bit together. They all live near the church. Now that changes had come in the economic situation, the kids and the families had moved out. And other immigrant communities had come into that other area. And so I asked them, they said, we want to survive, Father Barnabas. I said, that's great. Why don't those folks that live across the street walk to church here on Sundays? See, I need to test the mindset of the people that are there. We need to know, are they Orthodox on purpose or simply Orthodox by the happy accident of their birth? Yeah, that line always gets silenced. It just always does. That's the way it is. If they're Orthodox on purpose, one of the things they think about being a leader in your local community as your local parish is deciding, why are we where we are? And notice this. When I asked this question, you know what their first statement was to me? Well, Father, they're not, fill in the blank, you know. They're not Greek. Okay. You say that like that's a problem. If you don't want to be where you are, go to where you want to be. If you want to be in a place where all of the families that are like you can come to church, move the building, sell it, and move. We don't want to do that. Okay, then when are you starting your Spanish liturgy? I mean, if you're serious about surviving, you have to ask the question. So what we did in coming, we put a pin where our church was and marked a 20-minute radius because the average American will drive 20 minutes to church. we marked a 20-minute radius and we said, this is our parish. I was talking to the county commission chairman, Pete Amos, and I told Pete, I said, I'm the Orthodox priest for Forsyth County. He said, yeah. I said, yeah. He said, yes, Father, we know. That's why we invite you to come and speak and do these things and then open up the commission meetings and blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you don't understand, Pete. I'm the Orthodox Christian priest for this county. You're my responsibility. But Father, most of us aren't Orthodox. I said, babe, I just got here. Give me some time. But you need to understand my purpose and my goal for being here is to understand that Father is not a title. It is the confession of a reality. And the confession of the reality is, I don't get to pretend that people that don't come to church at my building are not my responsibility. I don't get to pretend that. That is not true. Not if I'm Orthodox on purpose. Not if I'm taking seriously the theology of redemption that is the heart of Orthodox Christianity. I am purposely where I am. Notice this. A few years ago, they did a wonderful survey, and they tested a lot of folks, clergy and parish council presidents, and other lay leaders in the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. And I want you to notice where the box is right there. The top 10 most pressing issues. Apathy, committed Greek Orthodox Christians, engaging a younger generation, personal spiritual health, secularism, recruiting volunteers and motivating people to serve, financial generosity, there it is, the top 10. A spectator consumer culture in the church, competing for people's time, developing the next generation of church leadership, and being relevant without conforming to society. I like every one of those. Every one of those insights are extremely important, but look at the top two. Apathetic, uncommitted Greek Orthodox Christians, and engaging a younger generation. Part of being a purposeful local parish, having a local witness, it's taking seriously the role, especially of the priest and the parish leadership, of engaging and motivating the people that come to church there every Sunday to step up and be proactive in their ministry, in their calling as Orthodox Christians. Orthodox Christianity is not a spectator sport. I didn't become an Orthodox Christian and give up being the next Joel Osteen, Jesus save us, to simply be a part of another audience. Orthodox Christianity, if it is truly what we say it is proactive and It is outward focused. An outward focused parish is a leader in their community. So, we started working with homeless folks. We didn't know we had so many homeless families in Forsyth County. Forsyth County is the 14th wealthiest county in the United States. It is one of the fastest growing counties in the United States. And it has one of the highest concentrations of Indian population, Hindus. There are now 3 Hindu temples in Forsyth County, Georgia. There are 2 mosques. There is 1 synagogue and a Greek Orthodox Church. Since 2010, when I arrived there, the 30 families has now become 125 families. And we're just now building our very first church building on the property. We're building it to seat 580. When we open it, if the growth continues as it is, by the way, our parish is 70% convert. Bunch of white people, it's boring. But it's absolutely been amazing. When the bishop he came to our parish, he pulled me off to the side and he said, "Father, when I see your community, I see the future." And I said, "Well, Your Eminence, that's very kind of you, but you need to thank these folks because my leaders around me are the ones that have bought into the vision that we've cast. To be present in the local community." Pentecostal preacher friend of mine told me something that you ought to remember. He said, "The light that shines the brightest at home shines the furthest away." If you want to be leaders in the Orthodox Christian Church, invest in the spiritual health and vibrancy of your local parish so that they can be healthy enough to have babies, to multiply, and to grow. One of the first things I did with my parish council is I told them, everybody's got to read this book. Start with why. And as we began to be present in the local community, we wanted to answer the question, why does Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene Greek Orthodox Church exist on this road in this county? Why are we there? Now, many Orthodox churches, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, OCA, Serbian, Antiochian, I don't want to miss anybody, forgive me please. Many of them were built in many decades ago. So then the question doesn't become, why are we here? We're a new parish. But maybe your parish has to ask the question, why do we stay here? Why are you here? Simon Sinek, by the way, gang, if you haven't read this book and you don't keep up with Sinek's leadership style, the book after this, it was wonderful. It says, leaders eat last, which I thought was fantastic. I love his stuff, simply because it is so compatible with the servant leadership orientation of normal orthodoxy. By the way, that's another thing we have to do. We have to change the designation of what our orthodoxy, we have to go back to normal orthodoxy. Normal orthodoxy isn't weak. Normal orthodoxy isn't impoverished. Normal orthodoxy throughout the centuries has always become the dominant expression of Christianity in every place it has ever gone as a missionary effort. With the exception of Japan, but I haven't given up hope there. The reality is that's normal orthodoxy, and we have to stop making excuses why we are where we are. The days of excuses are over. We can't afford it anymore. If you keep making excuses, please understand. I told some folks in my home parish, I said, "Dear, do you know how I handle you?" Because there were some folks that disagreed with me. I know that shocks you. There were people that were very intimidated by the ideas that we were talking about, reaching out and making sure we minister to people, making sure we bring other folks in, making sure our neighbors know they can become Orthodox here. They were very upset. And I told one lady, I said, "Dear, I just pretend you've passed on to your glory." Lord have mercy. You're going to have to be merciful to me. I just want to pretend you've passed on you because you're not the future. I want to invest. If a local parish is going to be a strong local witness, you're going to have to find the men and women in your local parish that you can invest your time in so that they can adopt the normal orthodoxy. Because that's happened in Cumming, Georgia, our lay leaders are the ones that are carrying the most water for this vision. And we started by getting them to ask, why are you Orthodox? Sinek says something in his presentation that I think is so absolutely wonderful. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. What motivates you? What drives you? Why are you here? Why are you Orthodox? Why are you at this leadership conference? Why are you doing what you're doing? So at St. Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene, as we began to change the mindset of the community to be a local leader in the local place where we are, we said our parish festival is now about outreach, because parish festivals are, by their very nature, the absolute worst fundraiser ever invented by the human brain. Complete waste of time, absolutely horrible, horrible, horrible return on investment. Stop doing them to raise money, because they don't. 3 months before my festival and 3 months after my festival, my best workers are fried. So half the year, my best workers are on the bench. They're doing other things. Here's the thing. The only reason to do a festival in a parish is to do outreach. We have over 10,000 guests that come to our festival. By the way, we do not have visitors at St. Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene. A visitor is just here and gone. Guests may become part of the family. Language matters, gang. Make sure you remember that. Language matters. By the way, we also have guest parking in our parish at the front of the church that lifelongs and folks that are here at the parish all the time better never park in. If you take a parking space for a guest, you have now hated your neighbor. Don't do that. So, our festival became outreach. And the key, the heart of the festival became the church tour. Every one of my workers are trained to ask one question. Have you taken the church tour? You should make sure you take the church tour. In the church tour, we do about a 30-minute presentation about the history of the Orthodox faith and how it belongs to everybody. You don't have to have an Opolis at your name to be Orthodox. One lady asked me one time, she said, Father, do you have to be Greek to be part of your parish? I said, dear, I hope not, because I'm not Greek and they made me the priest. So we focus on that. Our festival is focused on outreach. We do the church tour, and at the end of the church tour, we tell people, thank you for taking our church tour. We would like to send you a gift. There's a little card outside that has name, address, phone number, contact information. Please fill that out, and we'd like to send you a gift to say thank you. You came for the souvlaki and the spanakopita and all of and the dancing and the costumes, and all those things are wonderful, guys, but they're not the future. They're good things, don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, we're 70% convert. Our Greek dance team are made up of mainly mud Americans. Because of why they're doing it. They're not doing it to preserve some cultural thing. They're doing it so that they can do well in front of these guests so that they'll want to be Orthodox. People buy why you do something, not what you do. So the festival became outreach. Till a few years ago, thank God it stopped. Most of our new people came because of our festival. We had to cut back. We had to cut back simply because we're jammed. We're full. We can't keep pouring water on a dry rock. We got to build a church building. So the church building will seat 580. We will be probably at 40 to 50% capacity when we open the doors of the church. When an American church is 80% full, it's full. Period. Full stop. End of discussion. And when it gets at 80%, our parish has committed to plant another parish. That's what we do. Because we're Orthodox on purpose, folks. We're normal Orthodoxy. That's how normal Orthodoxy does things. We have babies. That's what we do. We love having babies. So we multiply. That's what we do. The next thing we did, we follow up with our guests and our church attendees. I told you they had a little card that they filled out at the festival. There's a box on there that said, I'd like to learn more about Orthodox Christianity. If they check that box, they're invited to an Intro to Orthodoxy class called Journey to Fullness that we start after every festival. At the end of that Journey to Fullness class, it's a 16-week class, introducing them to Orthodox Christianity. They can become catechumens if they wish. After they become catechumens, they are catechumen either for about a year to 2 years before they're received into the church. We're serious about making babies at St. Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene. Not just physical babies, spiritual babies. We have physical babies too. They're just running all over the place. Absolutely glorious place. Noisiest place on Sunday mornings, horrible. We preached and taught that the purpose of the local church was to be witness, martyrdom. We do not live for ourselves. An inward-focused church is going to its own funeral. An inward-focused parish is going to its own funeral. An inward-focused jurisdiction is going to its own funeral. You've planted the seeds of your irrelevancy in the fact that you're inward-focused. You must be outward-focused. Next, we created a plan to help train and build this vision into the community. Our leaders are trained. Our welcome team is trained. Our Sunday school teachers are trained. Our parish council is trained. We actually even banished the word committee. We have no committees at Saints Raphael, Nicholas, and Irene. We have ministry teams. Everyone's on a ministry team, and everyone is about outward-focused ministry. Even the parish council is called the Parish Council Ministry Team. We made worship and liturgy a priority. If you want a parish to be outward-focused, have lots of church services. That's the way we Orthodox make Christians. We make Christians through liturgical life. That's how we do it. That's how we form purposeful Orthodox Christians through a robust and dynamic liturgical life. 6, we prioritize adult religious education to both discern potential adult lay leaders and strengthen the adult faithful. One of the greatest weaknesses in our GOA is adult Orthodox Christian education. It's something we're working on very hard. I'm working on another video series now called Make His Praises Glorious, where we talk about the divine liturgy and what the divine liturgy means. Hopefully we'll go into production in November with that, and it should be ready by God's grace, if we raise the money, by this coming summer. It'll be a 12-week course that talks to people about why we worship the way we worship. All right, next, we praise and encourage lay leadership. Every ministry leader was tasked to find the next leader. Every parish council president must, within 6 months of his service, tell me who's going to take his place and who he's living with and working with to train, to multiply his leadership. And finally, leadership development became a priority in our community. And these are some of the tools that we use. Journey to Fullness is there. I've got actually a physical copy here if you'd like to look at it. You can get that from Ancient Faith store. This is our welcome packet, by the way, that we use. It folds up. By the way, folks, if you don't have a welcome packet, you should have one, but please do this one favor for me. Make sure your welcome packet fits in the purse of a female. The next thing I want you to do is make sure your ladies' bathroom is immaculate. Most guests to parishes will comment on the ladies' restroom. And next, we have Back to Church Sunday in September around the elevation of the Holy Cross. Back to Church Sunday is an effort where all of our people are invited to bring someone to church that hasn't been there in a while, or someone who is new to Orthodox Christianity. We do it on the Sunday nearest of the exaltation of the Holy Cross, so that it is a very festive time. And then Family Promise. Every quarter we house homeless families in our community. The rule is in our parish, it is not moral to have an empty Sunday school room if a baby is sleeping in the car. Period, full stop, end of discussion. Not moral to have an empty Sunday school room if a baby in your community is sleeping in a car. It's not moral, folks. It's not Orthodox. If you've got an empty Sunday school room and a child is sleeping in the backseat of their car because the family can't afford housing, you're responsible for making sure that child has a nice place to stay. That's your responsibility in your local parish. That's your job. You're an Orthodox Christian. So we partnered with Family Promise of Forsyth County, and we house homeless families, only homeless families, not individuals, homeless families at a week at a time. We feed them. They go to their center for job training during the day. We take care of the kids. We have a playground that the kids play on. Our kids come and play with their kids, and for a week we take care of these folks. Outward focused means life. Inward focused equals death. Finally, when the local parish is strong, the whole church is strong. There is nothing colder than a Christian who is not concerned about the salvation of others. This is St. John Chrysostom. This is what I want to leave you with before we go to questions and answers. Do not say, I cannot help others, for if you are truly a Christian, it is impossible not to. St. John is one of my favorites because we preachers got to stick together. The natural objects have properties that cannot be denied. The same is true of what I've just said, because it is the nature of a Christian to act in that way. Do not offend God by deception. If you said that the sun cannot shine, you would be committing offense against God and making a liar of him. It is easier for the sinner to shine or give warmth than for a Christian to cease to give light. It is easier for that to happen than for light to become darkness. Do not say that it is impossible. What is impossible is the contrary. If we behave in the correct way, Everything else will follow as a natural consequence. The light of Christians cannot be hidden. A lamp shining so brightly cannot be hidden. Brothers and sisters, if you're going to have an effective leadership place, it must be reflected in the local parish being a strong and proactive and outward-focused local leader in the local community where your parish is. That is the key to being Orthodox on purpose. Thank you.